Green bins, like the one you see here, are owned by a company called Use Again. There are 11 of these in Eau Claire and nearly 2 dozen throughout the Chippewa Valley. Both Republicans and Democrats are making a final push for votes. Where they get that money and how they spend it is a little different this year than in past campaigns. The 2012 presidential election is on path to be the most expensive in history. According to the Center for Responsive Politics, this election will likely cost $6 billion. This is an increase of more than 11% from the 2008 election, which cost $5.4 billion. The main reason for the increase is a controversial 2010 United States Supreme Court decision known as Citizens United that ruled it was unconstitutional for the government to ban political spending by corporations, as well as labor unions and other organizations in candidate elections. This decision has led to the formation of super PACs, which are political action committees that can raise unlimited money to support or oppose candidates as long as they don't directly coordinate with the campaigns. According to the Federal Election Commission, super PAC spending on the 2012 elections is more than $535 million. Individuals are still the highest campaign contributor, though, with more than $890 million being donated so far. John DeRozier, an Eau Claire County Board supervisor, says he has been contributing time and money to campaigns for the past 20 years.
And the reason I do that is because I support the candidates who support my values.
So far, Mitt Romney and his allies have raised the most with $784 million. They have spent $534 million. President Obama and his allies have raised $775 million and spent $606 million. The majority of the money is spent on advertising and mailings. Party payroll is also a large expense, followed by fundraising. Although DeRozier says he gains personal satisfaction from supporting candidates, there are some areas of campaign spending that he doesn't support.
I am sick and tired of getting phone calls. I just don't answer the phone. My wife doesn't answer the phone. We've had it with that.
Even though there seems to be an endless stream of phone calls, mailings, and television ads, Wisconsin still only ranks 9th in the nation in highest spending by state.
Thank you for joining us for Update News. I'm Chia Vang.
And I'm Kristen Shill. Coming up, we'll tell you about a salon that is reopening after a tragedy, and we'll see how the city of Eau Claire will save money on street maintenance this winter. But first, officials say the cause of the deadly tunnel collapse in Japan yesterday is still unknown. 9 bodies have been recovered from the rubble since the concrete ceiling of the tunnel came crashing down on Sunday morning. Crews have been working through the night trying to get to the victims, not knowing if the tunnel will collapse further. Authorities have yet to say whether they believe more bodies will be found. The fire department says the portion of the ceiling that collapsed was longer than a football field and nearly a foot thick. The company that operates the tunnel says they underwent a detailed inspection in the past 2 to 3 months. Officials have ordered emergency inspections of nearly 49 tunnels nationwide that have a similar ceiling structure. The collapse and subsequent closing of the tunnel is expected to cause major traffic disruptions. The third and final debate between President Barack Obama and his Republican challenger Mitt Romney tonight will focus entirely on foreign policy. The candidates will spar over topics such as terrorism, the changing Middle East, and how to deal with the rising China. According to recent polls, the president's advantage over Romney on foreign policy has narrowed since the summer. However, foreign policy still ranks far below the economy for many voters. With only 2 weeks until the election, this may be the candidate's last chance to make an impression on millions of voters in a single night. Forecasters are tracking another coastal storm that threatens the cleanup and recovery efforts in New York and New Jersey after the devastation of Superstorm Sandy. The nor'easter could produce strong winds and heavy rain and may hit the coast as soon as Wednesday. Buildings and trees that were weakened by Sandy are vulnerable to additional damage. The storm could also hamper efforts to restore electricity that was lost during Sandy. Power has been restored to nearly 80% of customers in New York, but there are still many challenges yet to overcome. With gas scarce and many subway lines still out, commuters endured long waits and crowded trains today. Although repair crews have been working around the clock in response to the worst natural disaster in the transit system's 108-year history, it is unknown when New Yorkers' commutes will be back to normal. Dozens of animals were rescued from a hazardous situation in Minnesota this weekend. After receiving complaints of animal neglect, the Humane Society seized more than 50 horses, ponies, and donkeys from a farm in Leroy, Minnesota. The animals were suffering from untreated wounds, severe emaciation, and other health issues. 4 of the animals were too sick and had to be euthanized. The Humane Society's findings will be turned over to the local sheriff, who could file charges against the property owner. That's all for Update News. Tune in on Friday for more news, weather, and sports.
With Devin Schooneman, Kristen Shill, and the entire Update News team, I'm Dan White. Thanks for watching, and have a good week.